All right, dude, we're live here in the armpit of the fucking South. What's up, dude?
Man, it's good to be here. It is good to be here. Overdue. We've been talking about it for a while. We had a little incident last week with my gate.
Yeah,
but
you
we're
gave
here.
it hell.
I did give it hell. Backed into that sucker. Yeah, that's good.
That's good, man. So you're engaged now, man. It's known you, what, how many years?
Gosh.
4th grade, so it feels like
20?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, so engaged, great lady, wonderful human. You kind of, you see all your friends who may or may not, be friends as close as you may be, but all of a sudden on the internet, everyone's getting engaged, having a kid, getting married, and yeah, eventually it happens to you, and you kind of adjust your life to what it is, and it's been good. It's been a nice, healthy change, man. 2 years.
Yeah, how does it feel to like say it out loud? Like you're engaged. You're getting
I'm an
married,
engaged
man.
Yeah, incredible, man. I really think when you have someone who can be that counterpart, who can just hold you down, it's good. For better or worse, man, they're there for you. And yeah, she's dynamite. And I'm glad to be in this committed relationship, man.
I mean, that's awesome. She is awesome, man. I think it's a perfect fit. I mean, I know like your mom has like the gift of knowing things, and I remember before y'all like were dating, I remember like I was in her boutique and she was like, "I'm telling the future. This is gonna happen." I'm like, "All right."
We actually,
when it happened,
we had to hide our relationship for the first month or so,
so she didn't feel like she was right.
Yeah, honestly, and before that, we were friends for an hour, not an hour and a half. We were friends
That'd be
for
awesome.
a year and a half, and we were, my mom was before that. The first day Sophia walks into her store, she's like, "Here's my son's phone number. Call him." And she gave me her phone number. We went out to coffee. It was cool. We were chill. We were friends. But as soon as your mom recommends this girl to you, you're like, well, now I can't actually pursue her because mom suggested it. But after a year and a half, we went on a little accidental date and found out we actually liked each other, like spending time with each other. And after that first, I say accidental date, we were just kind of hanging out. We went and watched a movie, went and got some pho. And
what is pho?
Pho. It's like
I've just never heard of that. What is that? I'm very intrigued.
Vietnamese ramen, if you will.
Okay.
It's with I believe rice noodles.
Oh yeah, like Singapore noodles. Yeah. That
really, really good food. Yeah, and so I was like, we were talking. We were supposed to she was supposed to come to a show. She couldn't make it. Scratch that. No, she came to a lot of the shows just to support. Then she invited me to one of her. So she sells jewelry on the side. She makes jewelry and sells it, and goes to these little vendor events. And New Brooklyn Tavern was hosting one back when they were still in West Columbia, West Columbia, I think. And I couldn't make it, so I was like, let me make it up to you. I can't be there at the vendor thing, but we should go get a drink later. Went and got a drink, and I was saying, man, it's been so long since I've had pho or whatever the pho you call it.
Yeah, what the pho?
And we were talking, man. I was like, wow, it's been a long time since I went to go see a movie. And so then we literally left there and we went to the movies and watched a movie. And after the movie, we watched Black Panther. Was it Black Panther? Something like that. It was definitely.
That's a great first date movie. It's fucking action packed.
But it's not romantic.
Yeah,
but it was
there
just
is no
kind
romance
of,
in
it was
that
just
one.
kind of
Yeah.
we were enjoying ourselves. And
You're
so,
representing South Carolina, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
rest in peace.
It's unfortunate. That dude was like solid muscle.
Legend.
That just lets you know how precious life is.
Absolutely.
You look at someone like that who's just, I mean, you can't sit here and say like what he would have been if because clearly he would have gone and done anything.
Wakanda forever.
It's just so crazy. Life can just be here and gone the next. So it's
Absolutely.
the older you get, the more you realize that stuff.
Yep. And after that movie, I kind of was just driving home. I was like, I think that was a date. And like the next week, You remember C Metro?
Yeah.
He went on tour with us in 2016 for the Summer Days tour, and he was having this event called Adult Prom 2, and I asked Sophia to go. We had a great time, and then after that, I was like, "You want to start dating?" But then we waited a month, and then told our mom just to make sure we weren't like kidding ourselves or whatever. And then yeah, mom cried, and it was good. Mom was right. So moral of the story is, mom is usually almost always right. And great place to be in. Glad that I'm engaged. It's been excellent. It's been life. And in that, you know, we kind of observe now that we've been together a couple of years. You have someone you can talk, you know, future jobs with, or just future in general. So as she's exploring jobs, I'm exploring jobs. We're kind of holding it down for each other, looking through kind of a dual lens of life. You know, I have this view. I'm a little bit more passionate. I have a little bit more gusto with certain things. She kind of pulls me back a little bit, brings me back down to earth, makes sure I don't, you know.
Yeah, you gotta, you know, she kind of redirects you at times.
Yeah,
you know,
I might say, hey, I want to invest $1,000 in crypto, and she's like, maybe just do $100. You don't have $1,000 right now. You know, let's be a little bit more realistic. So yeah, on that front, being engaged is wonderful. Looking forward to getting married, and you know, one day at a time. That's how we're taking it.
That's awesome, dude. So I know, how long's it been since you've done like a show for just you, not promoting other artists, but like a show where you performed?
Man, gosh, it's been over a year. I've been a little bit out of the game for both of those answers. Haven't put on a show for anyone in over a year. Haven't done a show for myself in longer than that. I want to say the last one I performed at was at Blue Pizza in 5 Points, and we had a great, and we had a lot of great shows there with the Lollapaloozas, and gosh, I feel like I've needed a little break just to, you know, if you've been looking at a painting for so long and it's right there in front of you, you might have seen every little bit about the painting.
I was literally like, where the fuck's there a painting over
right there? But I needed to take a step back and just look at my life in general. You know, I put in 15 years of effort behind recording, putting on shows, trying to break the scene, and I kind of just kept falling flat on my face. And
yeah, I mean, you tried to break the scene and you got broke while other people were sitting there just kind of like, you know, from outside perspective. I mean, I would see you do all these shows and you'd be always so hyped about it, and it was so much fun. I mean, I've known you for years and years, but so many people like, and I'm not saying these people are still this way or I wish them ill or anything of that nature, but they're very ungrateful. You know, they didn't actually see what, you know, like I told you last time I hung out, everyone wants, you know, this wonderful thing like the rain, but they're not willing to deal with the mud, the grit that goes into getting this, you know.
Great way of putting it.
And it's just, it's unfortunate because, I mean, throughout all that, you know, you kind of stopped doing what you actually wanted to do, having the good heart of wanting to help people and get them out there. And it sucks. I mean, so what's the future for you? Not promoting people. Hopefully, I mean, not saying that's done or anything, you know, you might always still help someone out.
I think that's a good segue. So I bought my DJ equipment initially to be able to set up shop and do a show for myself in any capacity. If it's a smoke shop, if it's a karaoke bar, if it's a coffee shop with, if they don't have a sound system. I got tired of places saying we can't book you for this and third reason, or we don't have a sound system equipped to host an event. We don't have an engineer available, X, Y, and Z excuse. So, you know, when I first started, you know, booking myself, I found New Brooklyn, places that would book me. I would get myself on a bill and then host events. And I just wanted to be a part of the scene, period. I wanted to be able to celebrate music, local artists, and myself and my journey as I'm trying to pursue and navigate the waters of a hip hop scene. And I kind of got lost looking at that painting and forgetting the original reason why I bought my DJ equipment. I started seeing, weddings will pay you $1,000, $1,500, upwards of $3,000 sometimes for a
Dude, I
wedding.
fucking totally get that. That's why I DJ at a strip club. I wanted to make money. It's not the most ideal job, but I got exposure. I got to do what I like to do until it became jaded.
Uh,
You know what I mean?
and then it's
Until
jaded,
it
man.
was
Yeah.
like, fuck, okay. And then I just went to work for the railroad. I'm like, I just need to do some hard labor, clean myself. You
Why
know?
why am I investing all this if what is the kickback to me? And so I think in this last year, I've realized, I'm a fairly decent DJ. I'm not necessarily an expert in
Dude, you're one
mixing
of the
or
best DJs. I work at the local zoo here in town, and like every year, man, people are like, dude, where's that goofy guy who like plays stuff everyone wants to
I just
hear?
want to dance. I want to have a good time. And in those moments when I'm in the set, I'm playing my favorite music. I'm reminded, this is why I enjoy doing this. And even booking myself for shows or setting up my own equipment for shows. I got to find a way to get back in that rhythm, back in that space of this is why I enjoy doing it. And it sucks when I book 7, 8 other artists to be on the lineup with me. I don't hold it against them if they're there to perform their set and leave. We've all been there. We've all done
Yeah.
that. It's a lot harder to stick around for 7 other people's sets, support them. We all have our other lives going on. We all want to go back home and smoke a blunt or crack open a beer or whatever.
Eat some Tide
Eat
Pods.
some, yeah. No, I
Yeah,
don't
that was one of the
recommend.
stupidest trends ever, bro.
But that's hilarious. Speaking of stupid, we did a lot of stupid stuff. Never ate a Tide Pod. We'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I would say next steps for me. I have talked about a project in 2025. I have songs that are already mastered and mixed and kind of in the vault, and I want to knock out a couple more before I release that project. What I don't want to do is release a project again to the same 300 people on my Facebook or whatever, whoever's on following me on SoundCloud or Spotify or whatever. I really want to release a project and then have a post production marketing budget to where I can just put it out. I am a big gamer, that, and
Yeah.
I play a lot of RuneScape, old school RuneScape to this day. Been doing it for 15, 20 years. I've gotten more
Dude, we used to
feedback.
trade like RuneScape stuff for snack packs and stuff in fucking middle school.
5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. It's still very the game is doing well, but I've gotten more fans out of talking to people online in the gaming community than I have with my friends and neighbors. And it's not sad. It's, you know, bringing it back to the Bible, Jesus, not to compare myself to Jesus, but
You are starting to look more like him, I will say.
yeah.
I mean, I don't think he was Greek though, but no, I'm just kidding.
Jesus was neglected in Nazareth by his own
Yeah.
people. That's kind of a story, and I do like to reference that. You're always gonna be more important to people who don't know you if you have a reputation when you meet that person. Otherwise, people only know you for how they met you. And so I do try to have a good encounter with everyone I meet. I try not to leave a bitter taste. I try to encourage people to keep living their dream, and I don't necessarily like follow through that. They're like, "Where have you been the last year?" You're always saying, "Hey, keep pushing your music, keep pushing this to everybody else." I think part of living your dream is recognizing you got a life outside of music as well and taking care of that. I think that's just as important. If you don't have a good foundation in life, I think it's very difficult to further pursue any extracurricular dream you might have. And that's
Yeah, you got to take time to redirect yourself. I mean, that's why like I lived so many years this past decade. It feels like on and off as like a damn hermit, because that way it's like I hold myself accountable. It's like everyone knows I have talents and skills, but this way it's like I have to go to bed with how I chose to live that day. If I feel like I got the most potential out of it, if I did what I wanted, and some days I didn't even know what I wanted to do. It's like this past year of my life's been one of the best years of my life. Every time I've ever gone through something bad in life, it took me years to figure this out, but I immediately choose that time to just dig deep and figure out how is this meant to truly be the next big thing.
Yep.
And that's why, me and my dad were talking. He's like, I remember whenever we used to be at the farm, and, he's like, I raised y'all wrong, and I always loved that because, we were raised wrong. My corrupt dad, it's so funny him being a redneck with a mullet, but like, we'd be watching Ron White at like 6 years old. It'd be on the TV, and, he's like, why don't you like get into doing like stand up? He's like, you've always liked to make people laugh. And he's like, maybe if you actually tried to like not filter yourself, he's like, you'd probably be pretty funny. And I was like, I don't know. So I gave it a try and it worked out. And I was like, wow, I still love playing music. I still have lots of aspirations with that. But I think this is something that's never really been so eye opening for me as like a very forward path, because everyone's always like, dude, you're never serious enough, or like, you can't take anything seriously, XYZ. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should just be a fucking comedian. I don't know.
Look, when you give yourself permission to be kind to yourself, to allow yourself to take a step out of your comfort zone or out of your little bubble where you feel other people's perception influence you. For example, you never allowed yourself to unfilter yourself. It's fucking funny to say what's on your mind sometimes. Yeah. And even if not everyone in the room understands it, the punchline will be hit for someone. Now, we were talking about understanding the environment that you're in earlier, and certain jokes are made for certain environments, or
yeah, certainly
appreciation of comedy. At least you can't say certain things just in public. But if you're doing a stand-up event and creating a
people
joke,
are there for the joke. They're not like at Kmart and you're like, hey man, your son's a little slow, and they're like, what? Like, you can't just like, it doesn't roll over too well.
However, who's the guy? Oh man, he's a great new comedian, Shane Gillis.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
And he was talking about the Special Olympics. Well, he's got a lot of a family member, I think, with Down syndrome, and so he touches on that. But he does it in his controlled environment. This is part of his comedy set. He's not insulting the people with mental health issues or that community. He's touching on it. He has a family experience towards it, and he's saying stuff that are true, but acknowledgeably funny.
Yeah,
in that controlled environment. So I think going back to what's that, you giving yourself permission to just be free, to make the decisions you want to do, to try the things you want to try. If you fall on your face again, you're going to get back up again,
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, I never really knew why. It's weird. I guess growing up the way I did, and like, having to grow up fast, and then leaning on like other friends and their parents and stuff, like at times when I went through hardships, I never gave myself like a fallback plan, but I never really had a plan in front of me. I just knew I was going to live that day the best I could.
Yep.
And I've always tried to fall forward, at least that way I know where I'm going to land instead of falling back. And I thought about that this past year. I was like, why is it I've always done that? And I'm like, well, it makes more sense. So everyone always has a plan B. But then if you have a plan B, I've learned, from asking other people, like, how they're doing in life and things, there's nothing wrong with it. But it's like you always have that in the back of your mind, meaning you're giving
yourself an excuse to fail, and if you fail, at least there's this in behind you, or you have something to fall on. And sure, you do want that, but if you can fall forward in some mud, it might be muddy, you might get up dirty, but at least it's a easier way to fall, or you can plan for the fall a little easier, or I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's so let me ask. So you go by DJ KOS, right?
KOS, y'all know KOS.
Y'all know KOS. Now, if you re-enter I guess, would you do more of the hip hop, R&B? Like, if you go back to doing music, are you going to go by KOS, or are we going to bring it back to the hip hop?
The hip hop,
is that dead, or what's going on?
I that's a great question. Going back to the 2025 project, and I've got 2 albums and 2 EPs right now under KOS, and I will say that the Hip Hop Geek is probably packed up for good. I think it celebrates an arc of my life, going back to even Abdel Fee, and we'll touch on that too. And you know, there are these arcs that kind of, you know, place yourself on your timeline. And we were with Adelphi. I was really trying to get in this music business state of mind. I was trying to get a collective of artists and support each other. And, you know, it's like putting a band together. Sometimes people just go off and do their own thing. And
It's like being in a marriage with a group of people. When it's great, it's fucking great. But when it's bad, damn, it's bad.
and you can't
You
control
know?
the outcome of four other people's lives
No.
or their decisions, or, you know, so sometimes you take a step back from them, you let them live their lives and support them at arm's length. I think so that kind of happened with Adelphi. I was in college at USC. After that, I'd gone to Gardner Webb and USC Aiken, spent a little time in Greece after that, came back, and I'm wanting to reinsert myself as an artist. And I felt really in tune. I'm kind of a dorky guy, a gamer. I'll touch on that again. And so,
And I've always loved that about your style. I remember so many people, and that's why I love being into comedy and podcasts. Is when people talk shit, I don't care. Like it literally doesn't. It just doesn't get a rise out of me. There was times where I used to get super heated about political things or whatever, but I've also like I've come to realize a lot of things in life. But like people's opinion of me, the more I grow older, I'm just like, I'm gonna pray for you. That's fucked up. But damn, you made me a
have
good
to
laugh.
be
It's like,
unapologetically yourself.
but you've always had like your own sound. It's like I remember seeing all these guys that would, a lot of them are super talented, like Mark Carson and DHD and freaking Armani and all these guys, Jo, all these people who had a lot of talent, and they would be out there and they would be pushing it and they were very serious, and that's cool. You should be passionate and serious, but you should also have fun. And I would see them having less and less fun when they would record, and we'd be at like DLBs or something. Like I know that goes way back,
Way
but like,
back.
but like just
With all
seeing
those guys.
Yeah.
Way back.
they'd be getting so pissed, and I'm like, and you would go in and record, and you'd be stoned as shit, and you'd be like, it was always an experience, and you would just be like laughing, and like it's like I always considered it comical hearing your songs. Not saying they're funny, I enjoy them. But I always just like it made me smile listening to your music because I always had a good time with it. It's
I
like
would say that and I think DHD has really grown into being unapologetically himself. Really, so I think when we're going, we were that kind of transitions age wise, and I there's this whole stigma of ageism with athletes and artists and whatnot, where once you're 30 or 40 or whatever, you're too old for the thing. But when you're 18, 19, 20, which is what we were when we were, record 15 through 20 at DLBs, we were writing songs about getting high and like just going to the club or doing things we had no business doing or just whatever. And that was a lot of fun. It was hard to kind of package that into a sellable brand as a group because we're so different. So when I go from there, now I'm at college and I'm the hip hop geek. That kind of took on more of a role when I started writing for Scene SC. I was writing articles on other artists, and I was more of a publisher. I was more of a personality versus an artist, and the glasses and whatever. I kind of had that image. And when I graduated from USC, I kind of hung up that arc as the hip hop geek, got a lot of good projects. I was listening to those songs a couple weeks ago. And every time I go back on my stuff, I'm like, dang, that was pretty good, man.
I mean,
like,
I will tell you, dude, it's crazy. I have people I work with at the zoo now who are like way younger than us. I mean, they're like going into college or a couple years in. So they're like 19, 20 years old. But like, there was a time we were at the zoo and you were DJing and I was over there talking. They're like, you know that guy? I'm like, yeah, I've known him for years. And they were like, what's his name? And I was like, well, his name's Marko Hurtt. They're like, that sounds so familiar. And then they like come up to me later, like, I heard that at USC. So you definitely made an imprint, bro. Like, they didn't say anything more, but they're like, yo, I've heard that before. But they would always be like, yo, he's awesome, So it's a big fucking university to still have your name kind of like traveling around, through little niches and stuff. It's cool.
With that, yeah, I think I just planted myself. I was learning a little bit more about myself in college, and us going to a small private Christian school for a part of our uh, high school and middle school, we were kind of trapped in this little baby bubble, and we really didn't know how to socialize with the rest of the world or other
I think
personalities.
you're the only person I know who can relate to this, minus the Catholic school part, but like going to school at like a Christian school for like, the early part, whatever it's
The
called,
vet,
grammar
yeah,
school and stuff,
yeah.
and then go to like high school, being a public school, and then back to a Christian school, like during all those time periods, and being able to like relate to like, granted, the school that you finished at was a lot smaller, but it's like so crazy. Like it gives you a great perspective. I really think it gives you so much more of a viewing of how
The
people,
world
yeah,
is, yeah. I mean, you get the experience of other opinions or identities until you interact with them. I even remember, going from Covenant to Gardner Webb, and that's still a Southern Baptist college institution. And I mean, I met all kinds of people, and I'm like, wow, and then even then further at USC Aiken, and I'm like, all right, this is even a bigger school with different personalities. You start kind of embracing the world for all the differences you come across, and that applies to me. So by the time I finished the Hip Hop Geek, finished the Marko Hurtt eras of my music, I'm now 25 years old. This is 5 years ago, and I need to reharness my identity as an artist, as a personality, as a public image. And I was like, well, KOS, that's the last three letters of my name. I was always avoiding my first name for some reason as an artist. I don't know if I was uh, thinking it didn't go hard enough or whatever, but I wish I started off with just Marcos. Like that would have been a cool little hip hop name. But eventually, you still take your roots, come back to them, replant them in a bigger pot, and watch them grow. And so as KOS, now I said I've got 2 albums, 2 EPs, one with Armani OD.
yeah. What's
And
that new song? It's listened to on Spotify. It's called "Marvel Us."
Marvelous. That's actually
I like that song.
it's a really that's a really cool
jam.
one. Yeah, that one is with Hero, I believe, and that's off my second album.
And y'all can find this on
Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere. It's Seasons, Phases, and Everything in Between is the name of the album, and that has a lot of songs. I forget how many songs. It's a handful.
Yeah,
Got a good group of featured artists on there, from Young Meme, Fat Rat Desar, Hero. You got several others. This next project is more of a pop. I would still say I'm in touch with hip hop. I try to insert some sort of rap verse in every song, but I'm going more for that bubble pop, man. I want to hit that top 40, that Billboard. I think I've got the melodies for it. I think I've got the flow for it.
it feels like pop and like I would say pop country and like a weird funky rap pop thing is like the thing for the billboards.
Country
or
is
if
it.
you're or if
Yeah.
I'm gonna shout this out, or if you're Blink-182, you get back together and you just put out a song like fuck it, you guys gotta be in the top 5.
Got to. Yeah, it's just gonna be there. Yeah, I agree, and I think even more so with someone like Blink-182, they already have the following. It doesn't matter if 15 years, 20 years go by. If they drop a song, it's gonna be everywhere. And that's kind of the issue that I touched on earlier. Being an artist nowadays is less of being good at music. It's more of being good at sharing yourself to the world via social media and being a presence online. And that's kind of where I continuously fall flat. I'm not good at the internet. There are some people who, with everything, there are people who work hard at something and they're still not good at it. There's people who are really, really naturally good at it and they don't try at all. And social media is a skill. It is something that people can
totally
take.
is. It should be a degree, like along with like marketing and all that.
I
crap.
think it will. I think it's on the cusp if it's not already in some institutions.
Probably
it's
is.
got to be, because it's very
It's definitely the damn future of success for anybody who wants to be successful.
Nobody had this 20 years ago. Nobody had this even.
You ain't getting a phone book every month, so chill the fuck out.
God, you remember the Yellow Pages, bro? You had to look up someone's phone number. There'd be like
you'd be on a phone
four
call.
different Sandifers, and oh snap, that's his grandma, not his house.
Oh,
or
now
whatever.
also know where he lives. Oh, who he voted for. Man, it gives you all kind of info in here. Damn.
Yellow Pages, man. But I think the arc here for pushing forward is going for a pop image, going for a strong sound, making sure everything is crispy mastered. You have the rights to the music. You're not just ripping something off of YouTube and throwing it into Pro Tools. You're developing your own sounds. You're getting your in-house producers, and you're finding a committed street team. You're finding a committed group of people who are going to push it online when you post something, finding that base. And if you can get it, then you're on it. One of the best examples I have from Columbia artists who are taking the social media situation by storm, Pat X has found his rhyme and reason. He's still exploring, the best way to get this many clicks off of this many pennies. He's figuring out that math. And I'm sure there's a way to solve that issue or to figure it out.
I just fucking have an AI app for my stuff. I'm like, look, no shit, you're smarter than me, computer, but like,
just tell me what I need to do. Yeah.
Here's
Chat
this
GPT,
shit.
make me a famous artist. I might just fucking try that.
Yeah, I mean, they got so many tools. I mean, I use one for creating like shorts and stuff and long form videos, just pay like a monthly fee and it's just does it for me. And I'm like, yeah, that would have taken me like 8 months and I would have never done it. And that's what I've learned too about like, my music ventures is like, I used to think it had to be done in a year or 2 years or whatever. I would rush myself and I'd be like, I can't, if so-and-so can't link up or this, that, and another. So I'm like, that's why I started, and I'm not good at it. I'm probably definitely going to, well, I could be if I wanted to put more time in making beats. Yeah. But that way, it's like if I spend less money on anything on the back end, like, of course, recording, I could do all that on my own now. Or making the beat. If I can make a beat that I want for the sound that I'm going for, and I spend all the money on marketing, or like,
how many doors will that open?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saving money where I can spend it elsewhere to actually get it out. And my goal isn't to get rich off of, music. I just really want to make a difference. I want people to realize, like, you can play the fucking saxophone and be an independent artist. It's so crazy.
Shout out to Corey Stone.
Bingo. I don't know who that is, but you fucking rock, dude.
Saxophone artist here in Columbia, really has been taking the event world by storm. He's everywhere from hip hop shows to live bands to weddings. Corey is off the chain.
Well, I need to get him in then. I need to get some saxophone in.
Yeah, we'll bring you in and we'll bring him in. I think that, to your point again, the more you learn to become comfortable in your own skin, the more you begin to identify your strengths versus your weaknesses and apply them. I keep talking about this bubble. You make your bubble bigger. You give yourself a little more room to be yourself with less and less apologies until you are just committed to being you.
And people will
that's what people are drawn to. Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you the great example of this is like you look at an artist like Post Malone.
Great artist, but no one took him seriously at first.
No, I mean, and once he put out like that song for the Spider-Man movie Sunflower, I was like, man, that's a cool song. But now you see him and the dude is so happy. Like I watch him on podcasts or doing things, and he's just a happy
playing
guy.
Video games, just out in public, smiling.
And he wants to play country. He wants to kind of dabble in a little bit of that and another. But he's like, this is what I want to do. And so many people love it. They went with him, and he gained so many new people too because they're like, wow, that's actually kind of cool. I didn't know I'd like country.
So I didn't realize how big of an artist Post Malone was for a while.
Yeah,
he went on a world tour with Justin Bieber and comes back incredibly famous, as a world tour with Justin Bieber will do. But he also, I think this may have been 2019, 2018. He had a song, he had 3 different songs on the top 10 Billboard, but they were released on an album that was 3 years earlier. They didn't pop until later on, and I thought that was so cool to see. It was encouraging for me as an independent artist. You can put out music now and continue to develop yourself until those songs hit. So going back to what's the plan for 2025, and I'll touch base on this.
Stay tuned. It's going to be a dope year.
It will. Buy crypto, XRP.
Don't do Tide Pods.
No Tide Pods. Let's say I leave that in 2020. But but it'll be going back to my other songs, the songs that are already out. Yes, I'm developing this new album. It might come out in 2025. I might be saving for a better post-production marketing budget, but I really want to get some visuals for the old songs. I was sitting in the studio with Armani D last night, and I was talking about our EP.
I got to get that guy on here too, man. Armani's always been one of the few dudes in the group that I fucking love that guy. I remember being up in PA when we went on that tour, and me and him are just sitting in there, and I'm like rolling a doobie for him or whatever, and he's just like, bro, he's like, we need to recreate your name. I'm like, what you think? He's like, I don't know. Let me get high, and I'll tell you in a second. And he's just like, we can call you Optimus Prime. I'm like, all right, we're really high. And then I'm like, we're going to fucking roll with it, bro. Like,
Otto.
I remember this so vaguely, and I got to have him recreate the story if you remember. I have the video still. I refuse to.
Yeah, he's in Charlotte now, so he's right up the road.
Oh, so he's not Myrtle Beach or whatever anymore.
No, he went from Myrtle to Austin, and then he's now in Charlotte. But yeah, I was telling him, we got to get some visuals for these songs because they're great songs. They are. The songs I have with Armani OD, if you go to my Spotify playlist, you think that he and I are just a duo, which we are sometimes, but that I'm not my own independent artist because the top 5-6 songs are all with OD. And it kind of goes to show our relationship. He and I have been homies not as long as you and I have, but I remember meeting him on Guernsey Drive. Shout out to 7-1. And I had my little chessboard, and we decided to play chess right there on the sidewalk of this neighborhood that I had no business being in. And we became the best of friends. Ended up driving out to Moofy's studio all the way down Garner's Ferry before he moved like 3 times ago. And so I think harnessing the old videos, recapturing them visually, and gearing up for the new sound in the event. Going back to the Post Malone comment, I think success is a combination of getting lucky, but getting lucky meeting being prepared. And that point, if you've got a good foundation already prepared for yourself, even if you don't have the social media, even if you don't have X, Y, and Z streams or whatever, you've got a good base to start from. Build on that. Reuse it if you have to, because the songs that I put out 3, 4, 5 years ago are still new to somebody. You know, I didn't hear "Fall Apart" by Post Malone until 4 years after it was out, and he was on tour with Justin Bieber. You know, so that kind of is just, he was prepared when he got lucky. And
I came to this realization this past year is I've never believed in the whole luck thing, but then I started thinking, I was like, man, I'm half Irish, half Cherokee. I might as well fucking conform. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking chased too many rainbows. I'm like, all right, ain't no fucking gold, so whatever, you know, I'm fucking believing in luck. Maybe I'll find some money. And I believe luck is like humility, meaning like if you got somewhere, you did something cool, and if you know you don't entirely know how you did it, you put forth some skill, effort. It's the humble fact of a little luck, you know. I don't fucking know the little who made it go viral, who accidentally shared it, or whatever the hell happened. It's that humble feeling of, I didn't do it all, but it's not like I paid a guy to do it. You know what I mean? It's
one song that I will say, I said earlier that my top 5, 6 songs are with Armani OD. There is one other song that is thousands, tens of thousands of streams more popular, and that's Don Staley, D-O-N, like you're a mafia boss. Staley.
Get in the trunk.
I was kind of playing on just, you know, I really admire her as an athlete and as a public figure and whatnot. She's amazing.
Fucking just recreated that whole league and that whole team, everything, you know, just really did some crazy stuff at USC.
A big identity behind women's sports. She pioneered it. And You know, so I wrote the song Don Staley.
I'm
and
not fighting any of them. Yeah,
Definitely
fucking,
not. I did. I looked up on Spotify for artists, and it'll show you how many streams. And this one song had like 33,000 streams to it, and then all the other ones were like 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 or what. And I'm saying like, where was it? Oh, maybe someone. I think someone used a clip of my song in some sort of promo video somewhere that I haven't seen yet, or maybe ESPN ran a little special and had it in the background. It appeared on people's. I don't know how that song got that many. I put $0.
maybe it was
for
just
marketing.
using the name, people searching that name.
I'm not sure. It very, very well could be. But again, it just shows my ignorance with social media and my lack of understanding with it. But I think it's really cool. And I love you, Don. I really hope you enjoy that song if you
We love
ever
you,
play
Don.
it. I misspelled that name intentionally. I know it's DAWN, but
But
the
it's about
song-
you. It's about you.
the song is DON. You're a boss, like the Don Staley. I digress. So moving forward, learning to be unapologetically yourself, preparing for the future while making sure you have a strong foundation in both your family life and then your, whether it's an athlete or you're a musician, whatever your dream is, touch base with that, touch base with your family, making sure that there's a little bit of harmony between the two. And then I think when you have prepared yourself to that extent, be ready for the call that will come with some luck that has your ticket up. And I think other than that, all you can do, like you said at the beginning of this podcast, was be the best you can be every day.
Yeah.
And choose.
And when you get that call, don't fucking sleep on it. I learned that. So,
Don't
and
miss
this
the
and this isn't
opportunity.
like big level stuff, but I saw the impact of what you just said firsthand, like 3 weeks ago. So, like I said, I was up in Charlotte and I was looking for shit to do, and I was like, I'm gonna go see a comedy show, and I'm sitting there and we're all just waiting, and I'm like, okay, been sitting here for 30 minutes. Then the guy comes out. He's like, anybody want to do an open mic? We don't know where these motherfuckers are at. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I'd rather, shit, I'd go up on stage and kill myself. People be laughing or doing something more than this. And so I go up there and they loved it. And he called me back and I was like, I got to work. He's like, yeah, dude, but you should come. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go. Luckily, work was understanding. But if I didn't go, because then he's like, hey, dude, you need to look into these spots. He's like, what you do is kind of funny. I mix up a little bit of like voices and shit. And, I don't know. I just really like to have fun with the crowd.
I remember one of the things that you and I used to do as kids, and I think there's a good time to segue into the bullshit that we used to do. Yeah. But one of our favorite things growing up, we would put on the old Adam Sandler skits where he would sit there and make jingles about like his phone, wallet, and keys, and
like, bar mitzvah boy.
And to this day, you can watch an Adam Sandler movie. It doesn't matter which one you do, and he will find a way to insert a little bit of his old original self into. Now he's kind of evolved to the form of director. Well, he'll still be an actor, but at his core, he is still someone who just enjoys having fun, whether it's in song or on a skit or in a movie. He's just.
All his friends have been with him since day one, which is so cool. And he's been married for like 22 years, same woman, has a beautiful family. He's a super humble guy. I met him one time when I saw him do stand-up. It was a real short interaction, but he was still like very kind. He was not like a dickhead or anything. And he's always had his own thing. Like when he makes these movies, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't do any of that shit. He's just Adam fucking Sandler. I don't know. And it's, I've learned from the past 5 years from not smoking any pot, and I barely drink. Like the more I just become who I want to be, I'm like, damn, this is actually a better version when I'm trying to pursue these things, because I'm like, shit, yeah, this is, now I can make fun of all the old shit I used to do or whatever. Like,
you could touch back to your roots again. Time and time again, you can't ignore your roots. You have to make sure they're part of who you are today, because you learn from the mistakes, but you also learn from the little wins that you made along the way. But yeah, I love Adam Sandler. I love that. I love when we used to sit around and watch those skits. One of the other things we used to do was dick around on the farm, and I know one day you're trying to buy back that farm. I hope that the good Lord provides for that, because those are some of the best memories we used to have. Tell me, I'm going to ask a question here and let you talk for a little bit, since we're segueing on to that conversation. Tell me a couple of your favorite memories from the farm, both as you just growing up around there, and then one maybe when you just took us out there when we were a little older, and some of the cahoots we used to get into.
Yeah, I'll tell you, and this will be the last remark I make about the hip hop geek. You know,
Yeah.
I was diving through SoundCloud the other day, and I was looking through your music, and I was listening to DHD and everybody, just kind of, kind of just
Diving into it,
yeah,
yeah.
diving into old stuff, seeing if I can like spark something. And I saw your album cover. I think it was the Renaissance of Hip Hop,
Yes.
and you were staring in a mirror at the farm. So
That wasn't at the farm. That was at your house behind, like on not Gervais, on Taylor Street behind.
Are you sure that's where you took that?
That's where the mirror was.
I'm gonna double check. Well, it was one of the pictures I saw. Maybe it was one in
You
my
might have
old.
brought the mirror from the farm.
Fuck no, I didn't.
No.
But that
Okay, go
mirror,
ahead.
that mirror at that farm. So this farm was like 300 years old. You know, it'd been pre-America. You know, like colonial fucking words are damn. You know, I got a speeching
Colonial
impairment.
times. It was
Yeah.
300 years old. It's a really old house.
But that ring was an exact replica from the movie The Ring, or the fucking mirror, not The Ring. And I remember we were down there one time. You were just staring in the mirror, and I just didn't click. And I'm just like watching, and I'm like, "Oh shit! Like that's like the mirror." And I could have swore it was that mirror you took that album cover. And every time I look at it, I'm like, "Is there a girl crawling out the well?" Like shit. But the best memories from that farm were a lot.
That farm was haunted.
Oh yeah.
There are
You know, and I like to
ghosts around
explore
there.
ghost hunting and all that stuff. I don't believe in ghosts. I believe in angels and demons, but that's why I do it, to see if I can find one. And it's probably some of the best memories growing up are seeing my whole family, like extended family, be just as fucked up as my dad. Like I always thought it was just my dad. But you get everybody together and I'm like, damn. Like I can't tell you any family. So most normal people, they'll haul off trash to the dump, right? You know, like the landfill. What we would do is we would take a family outing to the dump to take shit from it, like mattresses and couches and shit. And we would bring them back and we would fucking stack them up with a tractor and we'd soak them in kerosene and just fucking torch them.
hell yeah.
It's some like pissed on mattress, like that'll burn, right? You know, like shit. And it was always like the random shit. Like, you know, as a kid, I would have never thought to like think about like why we're doing this. We just did it. Like that was always a cool memory. I mean, it was never once did I feel scared down there. You know, I remember it was this one time I was down there and I was walking back from a deer stand after hunting. It was late at night and I knew there was like coyotes and stuff, but I felt so at peace with that the raw woods out there. There's no street lights, there's no address. It's like fucking coordinates to get there. And just being out there and like not even the stars and everything, but all that combined. With most people, they would feel like they're in like the Blair, like fucking Salem woods or whatever. Like, you know, where are the witches? And me, I'm just like, I just felt so at peace, you know, and it was, I always wondered why I felt at peace when most people would feel fear, you know, and I feel fear in different ways when others may not, but like, it was always the coolest feeling. It didn't feel like home. It just felt like a place to truly reset because, you know, you didn't get phone service and shit out there. So it was really unique of a place in the low country. And
To give you all a perspective of where this place is, if you go about 20 miles past Orangeburg and then another 15 miles past Bamberg or something like that, and then you keep on going for several more miles, you might pass it if you don't know where you're looking. And then once you get to that turn, you still have to get through the woods, and that long ass driveway has got to be like 5 miles or something crazy. And if you're still not lost, you might come across a little clearing, and then in the middle of that clearing, there's a little house. And
yep.
Yeah.
And it's cool because I know the guy who bought the all of that land. You know, my cousin had kind of told me about it after it all happened, and he just wanted it for the trees. That's what it was a pine
Lumber.
tree
Yeah.
farm, you know. And he's like, look, dude, he's like, I'm gonna plan to plant and clear. So he's like, in 15 years, man, when I clear it all out, he's like, you know, let's talk. You know, so I've got the timer ticking to where it's like, you know, how do I get to where? Because I know the value of the land could be more, but
Sure.
he also knows
That the family history is there.
and he didn't want to tear it out of the family, but like he made a pitch. He's like, "Hey, look, you know, I would like to
Sure.
buy the land." And once he saw the people that didn't want it to go, like my dad and stuff, they didn't want to go, but they didn't have enough power because there's too many cousins and stuff involved. And he was like, "Dude, I hated that." He's like, but at the same time, he's like, "Y'all made the deal, so that's fine." But whenever I finally reached out to him, he's like, "Hey," he's like, "You're so and so's son," and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's interesting, man." He's like, "Well, yeah." He's like, let's talk in, you know,
In
about a
15 years,
decade.
when those trees are ready, come on down.
And I told him, I was like, I don't even care if like the house is standing or whatever. Like, God forbid, like a storm take it out. I was like, yeah, it's a special home, but like
The land.
it's the land. Like it was so. I just remember being a kid with my grandfather walking around and like he would be like, hey, like see the way the dirt is right here and there's clay over there. He's like and he would dig his hand through the dirt and he'd be like, look, and he'd find like a fucking like a damn bullet from like the 1800s. I'm like, the fuck, man? Like, what are you, like some wizard? You know, and he'd just be like,
No, I'm a hobbit.
yeah, and he would tell me about all the cool stories. He showed me this little area in the back where like Native Americans are buried, and he's like, here's where like all these wars took place. And he explained to me the horrible stuff like when Sherman came through. There was another house at the end of this big field in front of the property where like he had chained the house shut and burned everyone alive in it, you know, and it's like I don't feel like sad for that. I don't feel like happy about it because I never knew these people. And the sick part is I don't know, there's no history that I could find to figure out who even lived in that home. But I know they were relatives. And it's like, I remember before we had this big tornado in like 2003, which cleared a lot of the property out, there was still a chimney standing. And I had asked my grandfather, I was like, hey, what was this? And he explained the story to me. And he was like, hey, look, he was like, there was all kind of bad things, of course, happening in the South. He's like, but then you have stuff like this. He's like, but what I took from it is I was like, this is unique. I have an opportunity to learn, you know, and see things from a different perspective. And I was just
From something that's literally right in front of you. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can smell it. You can, you know, it's right there. You know, yeah, you can see it.
And it's, I mean, it's basically kind of right outside of where this property was, about 10 miles, I guess, south is where they filmed the whole movie, The Patriots. So, I mean, that's kind of give you an idea as to what this place was like, looked like, the Low Country, you know. And it was cool. It was definitely a piece of home. That was probably one of the hardest things in life, you know, to be honest. Like, you know, losing a parent and things like that are very hard. But like at the age it happened, with the support I had and things like that,
and what it meant to you.
Yeah,
especially as a kid, and now you're losing that part of something that you claimed as your own, and something that shaped you as a kid. Yeah.
I mean, it was cool. So it's definitely on the list to buy that back one day. I'm looking forward to that. We definitely did. I can't even remember half the stuff like that.
One of my favorite things that we did when we were in, and you probably know exactly where I'm going with this one, out there. Gosh, it must have been the fourth or fifth time we were out there. And the first time you go out there, you're like, where the fuck are we?
Is Matt taking us out here to kill us?
Are we about to die?
Sniff this towel.
Holy shit. Like, if you don't know that this is a safe place to be at, you're on your tippy toes and your butthole's a little tight the whole time. Like, but fourth or fifth time out there, we're comfortable. We're blasting rock music. It's 1 o'clock in the morning and a little tipsy, a little everything. And we have a little initiation project for the newbies who come with us, and we just start walking around in the woods.
Oh yeah.
Darkest part of the night, you can't see anything,
And then I'm like, we're lost. Yeah.
but you just walk out, but I remember us just pitter pattering around the woods for hour and a half, 2 hours, like no sense of direction, but I never felt in danger. I maybe was too drunk to feel like we were in danger in my youth, but I really felt a sense of peace walking around in those woods and kind of enjoying the little person, whoever we had with us, being scared, like, what the fuck are we doing?
Oh, we had fucking Raymond with us, right?
It was Raymond.
He
I think
had
Nick.
Asperger's too.
And that's hilarious. We were just out there having a ball, walking around in the woods, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and eventually we found ourselves coming across the other side of the field of the clearing from the other side of the woods. And I was like, how the hell did we get on this side or whatever? And we literally jumped a creek or fucking like.
Well, that's what I learned growing up there is like, that's why I always loved doing survival and stuff like that and camping is, I can be lost as shit and know that I'm not lost because I know how, like, moss is not a good indication of north, I've learned. It can fuck you up at times. But like if you're in a place like that, trees are planted in a certain pattern to where they pick up, start off XYZ to where you can figure out how to get out by following the way the trees are planted, in fields like that. And, or you can even follow certain things with the way the wind has blown the damn leaves and stuff, some crazy stuff. I sound like a fucking psychopath in these woods, but we were truly lost, but I was like, oh, we'll easily get out this way. But I think the goal was to get us lost.
Yeah, I think, initially we were like, we're going to walk until we don't know where we are, and then we'll find our way back.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went.
And we were all like fucked up. Yeah. But some of the best times, man. We're just out there on that farm, and if y'all in a couple of years see a book by Matthew Sandifer called The Land, reference this podcast episode and get 10% off and a free autographed copy.
Yeah, bingo.
Or something. Maybe not a copy, but the autograph will be free. But
yeah, I mean, I have been writing a book for like 6 years. I just keep like, I don't know if I'm going to write 2 books because there's so much in it. Or like one book's about one thing and one's about another. I mean, one, because I don't want it to be a biography or something directly about me, but also want it to be like a book. I don't want to call it self-help, but also I don't freaking know. To where it's like a book to where I've gone through, everyone's gone through things, but like the one thing I like about myself is I've gone through so many hardships that people are like, how are you just, alive
or composed or whatever? Yeah.
And it's I mean, God, I got to think a lot of things, but like every day was a new day, and I learned how to laugh in adversity, and I learned how to like be thankful for things that were, say I don't have a mom, but I have other moms that are caring and trying to be helpful and things, and it's like, especially like your mom, and I can think of lots of people who like stepped up in my life whenever I needed help. And, I don't feel like I ever took it for granted. I wasn't always the best person, but I feel like I've never been a complete dickhead, to where like I had malicious intent towards people, I've definitely grown in and out of things and like matured, but like it's definitely a cool thing. And like, I don't know, that's the one reason I want that place back. It's just a place that, I don't know, that I can redirect myself, give it to my kids, cause that's the one thing that hit me the worst is like, I had that growing up, which was like, I couldn't imagine now not having it growing up.
Yeah.
But like having that for them, for their kids, because even if I don't get to experience it much, I would like for them to be able to pass it on, and I want it to keep going in the family just because it's cool. It's a really cool piece of property. It's a cool experience, and definitely majority of like, my childhood. I mean, I'd be growing up. I remember we would have like a freaking old Zenith TV, weighed like 400 pounds. We'd either be watching Ron White or like Beavis and Butthead or something. So like just the corruption and like going upstairs and you got like 80s porno mags. It was like it was never child appropriate. I mean, God, but like I learned so much about music out there. I remember, I learned that like my mom loved so much about like, rock and roll. I remember she got so mad at me and my brother Drew. We were listening to System of a Down. She was like, that's devil worship. And she was listening to Ozzy later that day. I'm like, hey, I was like, now looking back, I'm like, Ozzy was talking to the devil. I don't know if fucking Surge and System of a Down was. It just sounds that way, you know? And it was cool though, because I learned,
Sorry.
yeah, and it's like I feel like that's why I came out the way I did, because it's like my parents probably at an Ozzy concert or fucking Rush or something, or the Police whenever I was like in the womb, and I'm like, hey, you know, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. But yes, I mean, so your 2025 project, and you're getting married, and you're about to, you know, where do you see yourself in the next like 5, 10 years?
That's a great question. Something I'm asking myself every day. Yeah, especially since I just turned 30 this past Halloween, and I have been thinking about that a lot. I mean, we were talking about kind of bridging the gap, or minding, what's, right here in front of you, but also 5, 10 years down the road. What does that look like? What does it um, mean? Do you settle for a state job if your music career is not taking off? What is better? Is it better to be financially secure, or risking it for the biscuit and pushing it down, for your dreams? And there's a little, rhyme to the reason. There's a little chaos in the magic, but um, learning to juggle that. I think right now I'm looking for that right job that is going to take me out of the food and bev industry. And yeah, I still DJ and whatnot, but I don't want to be 60, 70, 80 years old lugging around my equipment.
Yeah, having a fucking carpal tunnel from like flipping burgers, you know?
Or something, man. And if I do, get carpal tunnel from flipping burgers, I'd rather it be flipping burgers at my own restaurant.
Yeah.
I've totally considered, finding. I just saw. I'm always looking at properties first of all, and oh, that would be a good restaurant. Oh, look at that parking lot. Oh man, whatever. And yeah, I was coming up here and I saw the Fats Cafe is. And I'm like, man, that's a massive
Yeah.
building and a huge parking lot. That'd be a great little family restaurant right there off the side, and you might find me owning a restaurant, ideally.
And that's the cool thing too. I'll say,
Go
like,
ahead.
so
Yeah.
you know, you went the route of going to college and all these things, which are great. Me, I didn't go that path, and you know, it's so cool because like I'm like, damn man, like I've done a lot of crazy jobs, a lot of hard jobs. I've done a few dream jobs that people are like, what? You know, like DJing at a titty bar. If I had been smart with money, dude, I would have been well off right now, but I wasn't. And it's like I look at where I work now, and I make a good living off of just my hard work and my persistence and my ability to grow and be humble
Hmm.
and just lift people up and just try to build better people, not so much like better operational business runners, but if I can make a better person, it's easier for you. Not a better person, but like help them understand the importance of things like I feel like they may not have learned growing up. Like not in a pushy way, but like, hey, to be a good leader, you gotta figure out a way to kind of you don't want to be bipolar. You don't want to come in there like freaking the fuck out and then be like, "Hey, what's up, bud?" Like,
But
whoa,
also,
they don't know how to take that.
if
You
you
know?
can lead them to, keep a clean workspace, that
Yeah.
applies to organizing your life, or categorizing your priorities. And I think, that all goes hand in hand. So for sure, I mean,
And it's cool too because where I work now is like I've the past 3 years I've looked at it like such a blessing, which is why I haven't left. Is like all I've built myself up in the company now to where I'm in a very high position to where I can go to work and work 60 hours a week, but still know I can adjust my schedule accordingly to where this is the only job that I've ever had that truly takes care of me financially,
yeah.
but gives me time freedom to truly pursue my real goals, you know, outside of that, like what I want to do. They know that I don't want to be like, you know, running the company. They know that I'm here and I'm going to keep kicking ass, taking names the best I can every day, and I'm not going to put in 50% until the day that I leave. They know that this isn't the forever job, and they respect that because they know that I'm not going to give up or throw the towel in beforehand.
Right.
And it's so cool that they allow me to do that. I mean, I make the joke at work all the time. My management team I work with, all my equals and people above me, they're some of the coolest people. But like I make the joke, and even the CEO of the company, he told me when I was out in Denver 2 years ago helping out with this big event, and he was like, man, he's like the way you lead your team, because you know, the zoo I work at is a member only kind of zoo. Very low, like you're in South Carolina, so you're not a big touristy area. But for us to make more money than they make in any zoo in California
That's insane.
and so he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. He's like, but he knows me. I'm a goofball. He's like, I can't take your methods and train them everywhere. He's like, that can't happen. He's like, but don't stop doing what you're doing. You know, and I took that as a cool compliment. And it's been really cool that the company, you know, accepts me for me. Like you're in this world of like diversity, inclusion, and things like that, and I love it. It's great. I mean, it's a great thing for the world. People, I feel like, yeah, hey, we're making steps to the future. Fuck yeah, let's let people do what they want to do. But when I think about that too, it's like I'm just a normal guy that just is a fucking goofball who has to hold himself accountable. And I refuse to live two different lives. I came to this realization like 2 years ago. It's like if I go to work, I'm the same guy as home. And I know that most people are like, what? And I'm like, I just, it fucks with me mentally when I'm like two different people.
Yeah.
And so for them to accept that and me just be like very goofy and like comical at work and like that's how I get a shitty day with like my 200 staff members, sometimes less, and turn it around. Is I'll go in there and be like, all right, I'm going to put on Frozen and we're going to do a sing along fucking dance montage in the back. And it's like, you know, the most random shit, but like they see the merit in it and they see the good. And I appreciate them so much for allowing me to lead the way that I want to, because I'm a leader. I'm not a boss. I hate the word boss. I mean, you've got great bosses out there, but I've never liked that title for myself. I like being a leader, and it's so cool. Like I literally tell my team members, like right up under me all the time, like it'll be the hardest thing in the world when I leave because of how much like these people have changed me. Because like growing up, I didn't have much empathy. You know, I was raised a very tough life, you know, and had to be raised quick. And now I have nothing but like females up under me. And I built my own team. So I put the right person for the damn job. And most of them are females and they're awesome. They're some of the best people in the world. But like, I had to learn empathy working, you know, and they gave me all these gifts that I never knew that I could achieve in life in such an indirect way. And they know how much it means to me because I've grown very close to them. You know, we work fucking long damn hours and stuff, but they know that if like there's a bad day, and this is one of the best parts is they're like, if someone's in a rut or like some shit's going down, they're like, Matt, just go in there and, I don't know, just fucking do something that you would do. And I'm like, what? And I'll just go in there, and then there would be a guest behind me and they'll be like, I just shit myself. And I'm like, yeah. And you know, it's like the GM's right there and he's like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I can't write him up for that. The guy's cheering him on. And,
Just a goofball,
you know, it's
man.
like, and it's so cool that like, and that's what I love about the world now is like, that's diversity too and inclusion, including people for their raw self,
Being
allowing that to be
unapologetically yourself.
and I hold myself accountable. I have a swear jar, right? And it's bad because I'm starting to not carry cash. I want to break the habit, but it's fucking bad because like as soon as I put like a card reader on it, I'm fucking broke. You know, it's like
because you're gonna be.
I'm like, shit,
here we go.
You know, so you take Apple Pay. Like, here's my fucking phone. Like,
my keys. There you go. One of the cool things I'm gonna say that something that my little brother told me. Kind of going back on what you're saying about just figuring out that work-life balance, just learning to kind of blend, you know, who you are in what you do and the roles you do. And so that I'm looking for that kind of a job that accepts me for me and lets me assess any situation how I see if it gives me the autonomy to uplift the company that I'm working for while also still maintaining my individualism. But what? Yeah, exactly. I digress. But Matthew said, my little brother, he said it's because he has done, and you can bring him on a podcast.
Dude, I would love to, man. I love your brothers, both of them. Your whole family has like always been a part of my family. I just had to interrupt and say it because I remember I've just known you all for years, and you're some of the best people in
and
the
those
world.
Guys are some of the most talented people I know, both musically and with art and all that. They both got me beat. But Matthew, he's come a long way on his own as far as a music artist, and records all his own stuff and is starting to perform and whatnot. And so we talk about that when we can. And one of the things he said to me while I was kind of juggling some stress is like, it's not so much, yeah, you might be going to work for 8 hours a day. You still got 16 hours a day to dedicate to something else. Now, whether you choose
it, man, that's it.
sleep or going for your dream, you got other time in the day to do different things. And then later on, I was talking with my mom, and she told me something that when she was going through a rough patch, when we were growing up, and she was concerned about this, that, and third, not enough piano students or whatever it was. And so she was praying, and she said that what God told her in that moment was to get up off the couch and go do the dishes. You don't have control about what's out there, how many students you have or whatever. What you do have control of is doing the things in your life, the day-to-days, getting your organization clear. So if it's cleaning up my litter box, doing the dishes, sweeping the floors, just maybe if I can make dinner before Sophia gets home or vice versa or whatever,
I don't know why I was about to say milking the cats.
Milking the cows and the cats, just do the day-to-days, man. Like, and when you get your ducks in a row at home, opportunities will appear. And that might just be you organize your time more and you find more hours in the day to do more things because you're just spending more time categorizing your time.
I totally agree. I mean, people work, they don't worry about me. Like, I don't sleep at all anymore. I haven't had REM in like a year. And my doctor's like, dude, your vitals are on point. He's like, your mom died of a heart attack, XYZ. He's like, but you show no signs of this. And I'm like, dude, I get like 3 hours of sleep, maybe 4 in the night. And he's like, why? I'm like, because I commit to what I want to do. I'm like, I literally put it, like you just said, like Matthew said, I put another 8 hours in. After everyone's tired, I'll shower, I'll reset, but I'm like, I'm fucking going.
Let's do it.
And it's like, there's so much, and that's tough to do. It's like, you lose a lot of things by doing that. Like, I don't go to the gym as often and things like that, but I'm like, I don't also like sit up eating fucking like Twinkies all night. You know what I mean? It's like it's give and take, but like if you want it, like carpe fucking diem, you're in America, like go and get that shit,
Absolutely.
And I feel so much better when I wake up with 3 hours of sleep knowing I like did all that shit, except for like all the Funyuns all over me.
But yeah, man, that's the game. That's the name of the game. And next time I come in, we'll probably have more things to talk about. But that's kind of where I've been at, getting ready to ramp up this here next project. And
yeah, I'm excited, man. I mean, me and you got to do some tracks. I mean, I've got a lot of cool ideas. Maybe it's just like 1 or 2 or whatever, but I just want to have some fun with it. I definitely want to do some unique stuff with music and bring a damn saxophone player in.
We'll get Corey. That'd be fun. I'll bring in my little brother who can hit us up with a bass line. And,
yes, I need some bass.
We can call a couple other people. JB Sampson is great on the keys, man. One other thing I want to do, and I got to get out of here shortly, but is if I don't put out another project, I will put out other project, but goal 5 years from now, 10 years now, is eventually getting and start my own little cover band, man. I think it would be cool.
Dude, like Cover Me Carolina. I'm
man,
game.
Something, bro. Yeah.
Dude, I'm game. I'll play the triangle for you.
Ding, ding,
but before we go, tell everyone again where they can find your music, what you're up to, like how to be waiting for the next song to drop, how to check out what you currently got out. Just let them know once again where to find you at.
You got all kinds of places you can go, Spotify, Apple Music. Best way to find it is if you go linktree.com, linkttree.com /y'all know KOS. That's YALLKNOWKOS. It'll pull up all the places where you can stream the music, get yourself a t-shirt. If we have a show coming up, it'll pop up on there, all that good stuff. I'm looking forward to the new project. Hopefully it's 2025. I can't imagine it'll take me too much longer. It'll take me longer to raise money for the post-production marketing than it will to actually finish the album So to be determined, and then I'm just going to be working on myself, man. Just continue to kind of take a step back, and you might see me do a couple more seasonal shows. I don't think I'll go back to the monthly situation until we can develop a little more of a following here in Columbia, a bit of more of a support system, which I think is growing. It's building. You have people like,
I mean, shit, we could slowly build it back, man. I mean,
baby
make it
steps,
better.
man.
Yeah.
You got Kwasi at Black Nerd Mafia, Tam the Vibe. You got JB. You got Hilo Art. You got Greg Sword. They're all putting in hours trying to maintain the scene, and shout out to those folks. It takes a village, and I think we just got to get back on that horse when we're ready for it, man.
I agree, man. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure, bro, catching up with you. And until next time, it was Y'all Know KOS.
Y'all know KOS.
Keep it fucking real and saucy, bitches.
Real saucy.